This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and today I want to talk about the difference between self-confidence and self-worth, which I suppose is a little bit different to self-belief. Maybe we can throw that in the mix as well, but the difference between confidence and worth, it's really quite interesting, and I know I've definitely peppered this part of the conversation through many podcasts in the past, but I think a lot of people will get often confused about their self-confidence and self-worth. In fact, they'll often be talking about their self-worth, but be calling it self-confidence, right? So, self-worth, self-esteem, and esteem is another word for value, is abso-fucking-lutely inherent. It is 100% non-conditional, absolutely not not based on anything, not based on our physical body, not based on our judgment of our physical body. It is literally the absolute beauty of the human soul that every single one of us has. And it's really understanding this, because this is where like even spiritual materialism can come into play, where maybe the conversation is, this person is more spiritual than me, or I'm probably a bit more spiritual than them. Any variation of that, because no person is more spiritual than any other person. Some people may have more access to that like level or stage or awareness within them, but no soul, no being is more spiritual than the other. We are all inherently of like unconditional value, of absolute and complete total self-worth and esteem and value. And that's the most important thing that we can understand, and it is the pearl beyond price. The pearl is absolutely 100% the most valuable thing in existence. The thing about it, though, is that then we put a price on it, and we do it with ourselves. And this is where we confuse ourselves, and often it's from our old fucking caretakers. But we fuck up our understanding of our own self-worth and start put conditions on it. So our self-worth is based on our physique or our body or something along those lines. And so what happens is that my worth as a human being is based on what I look like or what I think other people think about me when they look at me, right? Because it's like I think that I'm in their head, and that's based on my self-worth and how I feel about myself, right? Or it's based on my job and my title. It's based on what other people think of me in general. It's based on what I wear. All of this sort of stuff is somewhat like connected to a self-worth condition, and this is where we can sometimes fuck it up for ourselves, where we can sometimes create conditions that aren't actually there. And so this is delusion. These are lies that we have effectively trained ourselves to see, right? The interesting thing is that self-value is not the complete opposite of going, I have a fantastic body, therefore I'm worthy, right? Because it's the same condition. It's like, oh, I don't have an amazing body, inverted commas, so therefore I'm not worthy, or I don't feel very valued, or whatever the case might be. But if I had a really good body, then I'd be valued, then I'd feel that. And you might even give yourself the opportunity to feel all those feelings associated with that term, but it is still based off a condition. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't go down the path of, developing our body, extending out our potential within our own physical realm. I thoroughly think that's a worthy pursuit, clearly. What I'm saying is that when things occur and changes happen within our life, it does not change our self-worth. I hope I've made that really clear. It's something that I've challenged. I got fucking challenged with massively. The amount of conditions I put on whether I was valuable or not. I remember, and mine to be honest with you guys today on this fucking podcast, mine heavily came from my mother, what I was taught with my relationship with her. And I remember one time, and I loved cricket growing up. It's the only sport now that I follow like religiously. And I remember one time, and it's clear, and this is my memory, which means it's my remake, it's my bias, my delete distortions and generalizations of a moment in time, right? Of this, and Mum said, "I'm not going to play cricket for Australia. You're not going to play cricket for Australia. Go out and get a job." And what's interesting, as a 16-year-old at the time, is that I took that as in, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not good enough to represent my country. I'm wasting my time. I may as well just go bring money into the household. And that fucking was with me for years. Years. I gave up sport like within the next 12 to 18 months max. Right? I think it was 12 months. I got a job as well. And I brought money into the household. But the interesting thing is that among many other issues, I had dated chicks who had houses for a long time, and I would bring money into the household, right? But the interesting thing is that I never thought I was good enough with that relationship and so forth. And so these are these conditions that we may put on. And this was a big awareness for me to be able to sort of see this discounting that I had of myself and to work on removing it. And it is work, right? And it's continual work. I still see the not good enough frames pop up for me, and I just know that they're absolutely bullshit because there isn't a good enough. There's no such thing. So self-confidence, right, is our confidence to confide in ourselves for the ability to execute something, right? This is, I'm confident in my body, I'm confident in my physique. Now, this can all still be made up on some degree. We can just base conditions of what we need to have, be, or do to feel confident, meet those conditions, and then, off we go. Because what's confidence for one person in one area of the world at one stage in their life is not confidence in another, right? When you first got your first car that you were really proud of, if you were to drive around that car now, depending which stage of life you're in, you wouldn't have the same level of, inverted commas, confidence. And so this is one of the things that sometimes we're constantly looking at what's next. And that allows us to pursue something and continually develop. However, the other thing about it is that it can give us this lack mindset of going, well, maybe I'm still not enough now, and so I need to do X or have X or be X or whatever in order to feel confident. But at the core, self-confidence is often pointing at our abilities, our skills, behaviors, traits, to feel confident, all that sort of stuff. But one of the biggest challenges that we see at the moment is how often people want to lose weight to be confident, and it's like, that's fine. I'm not saying people shouldn't weigh less necessarily or be confident. What I'm saying is that that's a warning sign that they are actually meaning self-worth, not self-confidence. Potentially, there's more work to be done. But self-belief is another thing. Hey, like one of the things that I've noticed between some really successful people is like this, a couple of clusters of thinking patterns. One of them is just this unwavering self-belief that if they go into a situation that they trust themselves to get out of it somehow. And they fail from time to time, but they're usually quite optimistic. And so they end up bouncing back. It's a really fascinating trait to see in such successful people across sporting endeavors, across business endeavors, all that sort of stuff, is this unwavering self-belief that they're going to be okay. And I'm going to remind you here, you're going to be okay. To double down and bank on yourself and invest in yourself and trust yourself and believe in yourself is actually the best investment you can give, because it's your investment. If we all did that, then the world would be a really different, interesting and fascinating place. So in the space of about 9 minutes, I hope I could explain to you the difference between self-belief, self-confidence, and also self-esteem, self-value, or self-worth, however you want to say it. But Tim, if you've found this podcast beneficial, it would mean the world to me if you'd pass it on to someone else that you think would also find it beneficial and want to understand that they themselves are absolutely invaluable. If you have any questions on this, I'd love to hear it in the Facebook community, Mood Prep community group on Facebook. Otherwise, team, that's me done for today. I'm out. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza. kick today in the dick and slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.